Be mindful. You may never know who knows somebody, who kin to somebody, who saw what you posted. Because you gonna have to stand on business. Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, Ross.
What if I told you the biggest boss in hip-hop just got publicly stripped of his crown in front of thousands of fans, cameras rolling, egos shattered, and lemon pepper wings left untouched? Because last night, something happened that no one saw coming. Not the bloggers, not the industry gatekeepers, not even Rick Ross' 27-man security team whose only job was to look intimidating and occasionally block camera angles. DC Young Flyette, the same man who can roast your soul before you blink, looked Rick Ross dead in the eye and called him out like a fraud on live stage. And when I say the crowd lost their minds, people were screaming, phones were flying, and someone in the back yelled, "Take his wings and his contracts." But here's where it gets wild. This wasn't just a joke gone too far. This was years of silent tension, industry betrayal, ghosted
Diddy's and Ross, which they good buddies, okay? They gay. Who? Both. Eddie and Ross.
Don, you know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just,
But then you
we could have those debates, we really could.
Teflon was off the chain.
I mean,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
I like the way you
Different
followed up
times.
hustling with pushing it. Like, how did you know to come right back on their
You got to,
right?
man, just don't take the foot off the gas at all.
Out of nowhere, Ross stood up and left.
Use the restroom one time and I'm gonna take this jacket off.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you can't.
Man, stay tuned.
You can't take your foot off for nothing.
All gay.
Oh, I'm talking about for life.
deals, and one rapper allegedly living a lifestyle funded more by rented mansions than real royalty checks. So buckle up, because what went down on that stage might just expose the entire Biggest Boss persona once and for all. The chaos did not begin on stage that night, but long before, quietly simmering beneath industry smiles and handshake deals that never saw daylight. And when Rick Ross walked into the venue like he owned not just the building but the entire culture, the energy shifted instantly. He arrived, wrapped in designer chains that looked heavy enough to crush a smaller man's spinal cord, surrounded by bodyguards who formed a security perimeter so tight, you would think he was transporting national secrets instead of attending a comedy show. DC Young Fly stood on stage, already holding the crowd in his palm, grinning like a man who knew he had ammunition loaded long before the target stepped into the room. Ross tried to make his entrance grand, the kind where smoke machines, overhyped announcers, and unnecessary background music create an illusion of royalty. But instead of applause, the room felt like everyone was—
I'm gonna say, first of all, I don't give a
Yeah, I get it.
but I give a because
Try to make it bad.
put you as a person.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Before, okay, let's just say before all that happened, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say before all that happened. Bro, I'm listening to you, Ross. I
Yeah.
feel like you wanted to, hey, shut the f up. I'm listening to you, Ross. I feel like you probably one of the best lyricists from the South that we got. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you poetic, bro. When I listen to your music, I think you put a lot of time and effort into this. The moment you lead our show, you went and did a podcast, a white podcast. You sat your ass right there for almost 2 hours,
And didn't leave.
and you talked. And the white folk asked your ass, was you a correctional officer?
Yeah.
We would have never asked you no shit like that, nigga, 'cause we
Right.
got respect for you.
Right.
And you sat right there and you answered that question so eloquently,
Right.
eloquently.
That low
you got it.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
was waiting for DC to strike, and he did not waste a second. With a look of pure disbelief and a comedic timing so sharp it could perform surgery, he pointed at Ross and said he walked in like he leased the outfit, the chains, and the personality that came with it. The crowd exploded with laughter, and even Ross' own entourage struggled to hold in their reactions before remembering they were paid to look intimidating. Not entertained, Ross forced a stiff smile, the kind that hides insecurity under a layer of ego, but DC smelled blood in the water. He continued roasting Ross' image with precision, accusing him of having more Wingstop coupons than platinum records and treating his luxury lifestyle like a temporary rental agreement. The audience howled, recording every moment, already predicting viral clips before the night even finished. Ross tried to brush it off, adjusting his sunglasses like a man hiding from both the spotlight and the truth. But DC pushed deeper, referencing
Bro, listen, man. I came to your podcast. I came for free, homie, no charge. I did it on Face, homie. I didn't ask you what your analytics was and this and that. I came on Face, homie, to show love. And don't make it like I walked off on you. I left early. Rose had some other things to do too. But guess what? I came for free. And next time I come for free, at least have me some lemon pepper Wingstop at that. You heard me? But I came for free. I ain't charge you. You feel me? Don't talk about Rose other business. I came and did that. And what is the analytics? How the show doing anyway, man? I come back on it and when I'm gonna walk off that the next time and it's bitch say Rose, was I doing? Of course not.
old rumors about Ross correctional officer past. A topic Ross avoids harder than people avoid subscription pot. The laughter turned into chaos, and the tension became impossible to ignore. Finally, Ross snapped, grabbed the microphone, and fired back by saying DC was a comedian who had never touched real money. The crowd instantly booed, and DC stepped forward, lowering his voice just enough to make every word cut through the silence. He said at least he did not pretend to be something he was not, and the entire venue froze as if someone had pulled the oxygen from the room. That single line shifted everything from comedy to confrontation, turning the stage into a battlefield where authenticity clashed with ego, and the audience watched in stunned silence, sensing that this was no longer a joke but the unveiling of something much deeper. The silence after DC's statement was not just awkward. It was historic, and for a split second even the cameras seemed confused whether to keep recording or shut down out of respect for the death of Ross's ego. But before anyone could process what happened, the crowd erupted with a mix of shock and approval, as if they had been waiting years for someone to finally say what everyone whispered behind closed doors. Ross stood there with a frozen smile, the type that cracks slowly when confidence begins leaking out like air from an old tire. And his security team instinctively stepped forward, not to protect him from physical harm but from the emotional damage unfolding in front of thousands of witnesses. Instead of recovering with a clever comeback or a smooth pivot, Ross tried to double down on his image, talking about money, mansions, investments, and success. But the more he talked, the more it sounded like a resume written by someone who desperately wanted validation. DC simply listened.com and unbothered, waiting for Ross to run out of recycled catchphrases before leaning into the mic and saying that real bosses do not need to remind people they are bosses. They just move like it. The crowd reacted again, louder, sensing they were witnessing not just a roast but an unmasking of a persona built on branding rather than authenticity. Word spread online instantly. Clips hit social media faster than breaking news alerts, and timelines exploded with comments accusing Ross of being all talk and no legacy. People began posting alleged stories of artists who claimed Ross promised them opportunities but did
Ross, big homie. First of all, you know it love. Second of all, I got to call a spade when it's a spade. You say you did it for free. Everybody do it for free, Ross. You ain't the only nigga who did it for free. T.I. do it for free. Busta Rhymes did it for free. Snoop Dogg did it for free. Everybody who sat on that couch do it for free. Now, that wasn't the biggest moment. Now, that's one of the viral moments, but Boosie episode 8 million. Got Country Wayne shit like 6-7 million. Like, we do numbers, we do analytics. Our analytics, we was the biggest before you came, and we was the biggest afterwards. So you always got room to come back to be on the biggest podcast in the world, correct? You dig what I'm saying? But when you call a spade, it get
but disappeared once cameras stopped rolling, and others accused him of using relationships only for publicity and leverage. Anonymous accounts surfaced claiming Ross' empire was built on borrowed money and exaggerated ownership, alleging he rented properties for music video shoots and used staged business meetings to appear powerful. Meanwhile, DC's name trended not as a comedian but as a truth-teller, a rare figure willing to say out loud what others were scared to acknowledge. Even celebrities chimed in indirectly, posting cryptic tweets about fake industry bosses and people who confuse clout with respect. Ross, meanwhile, tried to regain control by posting motivational clips, showing off cars and assets, and reminding fans how long he had been in the game, but instead of admiration, the comment sections filled with people asking whether the cars were leased, whether the interviews were scripted, and whether the persona had cracks long before DC pointed them out. What made the backlash worse was that Ross? Silence on the correctional officer rumors resurfaced again as fans reopened old debates questioning why a man who built an identity of street credibility never confronted his past openly. For the first time in a long time, the power dynamic seemed reversed, and Ross was no longer in control of the narrative, while DC stood center stage carrying the crowd, the culture, and the truth without ever raising his voice. So now that you've seen exactly what went down, the question is, what does it all mean for Rick Ross, for DC Young Fly, and for the entire culture that worships image over authenticity? Are we witnessing the downfall of a so-called boss who finally got exposed in front of the people? Or is this just another viral moment that will fade in a week while the industry goes back to business as usual? You have to ask yourself, how many more Rosses are out there, pretending to be untouchable while DCs are quietly waiting with a microphone and the courage to call it like it is? And let's be honest, if someone as bold as DC can stand on stage, face to face, and make millions of fans question the integrity of a multi-millionaire rapper, then maybe it's time for all of us to start asking the hard questions instead of swallowing the hype. What would you do if you were in DC's shoes? Would you speak up or stay silent to protect your own image? Drop your thoughts in the comments because the conversation doesn't end here. Hit that like button if you think DC dominated the stage. Subscribe for more shocking exposés, and turn on notifications because the next big story might just be bigger than this.